live.
Okay, so we will jump right into it. Overall, you couldn't really have asked for too much of a better start to the playoffs for my dad and I. This is, you know, going things are going as expected, and I guess we've just been hurt before. We've touched the stove, so we weren't too optimistic that it would go this way. But it was a really good game for the Celtics. Came up big. What was the final score? How much we beat them by? 20.
We beat it
Yeah,
by 20. Yeah.
beat them by 20. Pretty happy about that. Um, Dad, any initial thoughts on the game?
I mean, I love the way they move the ball, and that was the key to me. And the Heat, they fight, they scrap, but as long as we move the ball, they have so many weaknesses on defense now with Butler being out, and Vasquez is a rookie, and Duncan Robinson, and that was the key. They did it. Jason Tatum, triple double, his first career playoff triple double. That's what I love to see. Move the ball. He got doubled. Every time he got doubled, he found the open guy, made them pay. I mean, there's just not much to complain about here. I do have a little bit of a gripe, but we'll get that in a bit. But man, they just showed up. They came out of the gate like a rocket. That was good to see. They hit a cold stretch, which got Miami, kept them hovering around for the end of the first half. But, then they turned it on in the third quarter and just stomped a hole in them. So that was good to see as well.
Yeah, I mean, we had we've had some concerns about, okay, you've taken all this time off to make sure you're rested. Can you turn the switch? Can you flip the switch on and get back out there and start playing the basketball that got you that number one seed that you were resting because you hadn't? They emphatically showed us that that is the case. They can definitely flip a switch. And that first like 4 or 5 minutes was huge. They really they showed up a lot of the things that we were concerned about, right? They were hitting their open shots. They were getting rebounds. Their rebounds were awesome. They didn't give up too many
Yes.
offensive rebounds. They did give up some here and there, but their offensive rebounds, they were punishing the Heat. The Heat looked like they, were taking possessions off, and then also, they were doing a great job at oh man, what was the other thing? I'll think about it. But yeah, Dad, that was just a number of things that we were concerned about with the amount of time they were taking off, and they really showed up and showed out, and that was it was nice to be relaxed for pretty much 95% of that game.
I feel like I dropped the ball because I thought of that before we went with the pregame live, and then I forgot to mention it. That has been a concern of mine, the defensive boards. And, it's usually hustle, and the playoffs, everyone hustles. So they were able to remedy that because there were times this year where, that would kill them. That would kill them in games. And there's not many weaknesses to attack on the Celtics. And sometimes they fall asleep on the defensive boards. They get caught watching the ball in the air instead of finding a guy to box out. And they didn't do that, like you
Not much
said.
tonight.
Dominated on the boards. Yep, that was fantastic as well. And, the only thing that I wasn't crazy about was up by 29, 8 minutes to go. Like, why are the starters in the game? I just don't like that. I get that the only reason why Miami kind of cut into the lead was the starters were clearly not trying. They were just trying to run out the clock, trying not to get injured. And Correct. They mentioned on the broadcast, Missoula's trying to, get them back into shape, play heavy. Well, that's not going to help if they're just basically going through the motions, trying to get through the game. Put the backups in. The backups are going to work their butt off. They're in the game for the first time in a playoff game, and that lead's not getting cut. That lead is safe. 29 points, 8 minutes to go. Put the damn backups in. Look what happened to Tatum at the end of the game.
Oh, man.
Like, oh, my God. Like, imagine if he got hurt bad there. That would have been a disaster.
Oh, my gosh. And they were – and like so they were like treating Caleb Martin like he's Mother Teresa. Like, oh, he's not a dirty player at all. That was an accident. That was as dirty as it gets. His arms weren't even up. His arms were down here, and his whole body weight just went into Tatum's side. Everybody on the court knew what that play was. That's why Jaylen Brown said something. That was not like that. Like that was, and Tatum went over and gave him a high five. That's such a dangerous play. A concussion could keep a player out for the entire playoffs. He made no effort on the ball. I mean, I honestly can't believe it's disappointing to me that he doesn't get some sort of discipline because Caleb Martin was pooping his pants out there. They were leaving him wide open on the 3-point line. And so he wasn't killing us like he was last year. So we thought, you know what? Well, maybe I'll just do this. I'll hurt Tatum because that was so dirty. And that made my blood boil. And the way the refs kept, trying to act like, the announcers kept trying to act like it wasn't intentional really bothered me. Oh, man. But, and then also
charged at him like a linebacker blitzing, and he just took him out. I love that Jaylen Brown stuck up for him. At least
right away.
Somebody said, Porzingis did too. Like, hey, what was that? So that's good to see. You don't see that in basketball too often. So it's nice to see the people, the teammates coming to the aid of Tatum there because that was a dirty play. And, but they shouldn't be in the game at that point. I'm sorry. The conditioning, all that stuff.
Up 16 with 2 minutes to go. What
are we doing?
Pritchard in there, Pritchard, O'Shea, Brissett, Tillman, get those guys in there, dribble it out. If you win by 9, you win by 9. But there was no way they were going to lose that game at that point. That was super scary.
No.
No, I mean, speaking of Celtics killers, who the frick is DeLon Wright? DeLon Wright was a player who I was like, maybe in the buyout market, end of the bench, 15th player. He was on Toronto. I think he went to like the Mavericks. I don't know where he was, before he landed on the Heat, but he had his, I think his season high tonight against us. He hasn't scored above 13 points since November. And for some reason he was like 5 for 5 from 3. It was fascinating to see, and that's, hopefully that cools down because we really don't want garbage guys like that extending a series that's really dangerous, to be honest, because again, these guys are dirty.
Yeah, see, the Heat always seem to find these guys. Last year, Gabe Vincent, him and Caleb Martin, it felt like they were never missing a shot in that series last year. It's like, who are these bums? And they're bums in the grand scheme of things, and they look like first-team All-NBA players last year against us. It's like, that Vasquez kid looked good against us, and like you said, now that guy, it's like, man, the Heat just find these guys that, I don't know, they just heat up against us, but, I'm not worried about it. The Celtics took care of business. Without Butler, there's no way this series should go longer than four games. It just shouldn't. Yeah. And, Adebayo, he fought, give him credit. He did everything he could. But, keep it at 4 games. Do not keep those guys out there at the end of the game like this. This is a golden opportunity to sit those guys and rest. The playoffs are a long drag. They're a long grind.
Yep.
Sit those guys. You prevent injury from happening, which we saw with Tatum almost happen when he got undercut there, and keep the miles on the tire. Keep the tread on the tire. Remember, 2022, we ran out of gas against Golden State. It was so obvious the Celtics ran out of gas. Yep. I don't want to be in that position again. If we lose in the finals, I want it to be because the other team was more skilled and we just could not match up, which is just not going to happen with our team. I don't want it to be because we had no gas left in the tank. So, I loved everything. Missoula did well today, but I wasn't crazy about that decision to keep everyone in the game with 8 minutes left and where's 29, But
I totally agree. And speaking of Gabe Vincent, he pulled highway robbery. He got like a huge contract from the Lakers. He played 4 minutes. No, he played 8 minutes, went -4 with no shots yesterday for the Lakers. For some reason, he was, prime Curry against us last year, but that's just us being bitter. It was really good to see. Overall, I think one thing that I would like is, Holiday's got to hit those those little hook shots in the paint.
When he gets in position.
Yeah. He made some really great plays. He made some awesome passes. I mean, people were hitting their shots, and that's what we said, right? Holiday took the least amount of shots out of all of our starters. He tied Horford for the amount of shots. So he's not going to be asked to do a lot. When those mid things aren't falling, it's not a big deal. So it was totally okay. I would have liked to see Hauser out there more. I'm really shocked. You mentioned, right? Like Hauser went 4 straight threes and they took him out of the game. And then he really didn't come back in after that. So that was a bit of a bummer. There's really no reason for Tatum to be out there. I mean, Tatum already had his triple double. If they were running for stats, hopefully they weren't. But if they were, he had his triple double, with 5 or so minutes to go. So I would have loved to see Hauser out there. And
Yeah, he was
Holiday.
feeling it. He's 4 in a
Yeah.
row. I mean, he wasn't much of a part of the second half. I don't know why that's
I
the
don't think he
case. They
did.
should have got him involved. Yeah, but you're
He's
right about
+5.
Holiday. He missed. Oh wow, yeah. So Holiday had like 8 points. He left like 8 points on the board where he did his patented, got into great position right under the
Bullied.
bucket, muscled this guy, and just at
Yep.
the last second missed like these bunny little shots. It's so hey, maybe it's just rust for him too. Again, a lot of these guys weren't playing any meaningful basketball for over a month and a half. They hadn't played a basketball game in over a week because of the play-in. So hopefully, next game, Holiday cleans that up because he did all the other things right, like you said. And he hit, he was a part of that big run at the beginning. He hit that big 3-pointer too that was getting the crowd going. So, but yeah, I don't know. Hauser and Pritchard, I feel like they passed their first test. I called that at the beginning of the game. I wanted to see that. They did not perform they didn't get much of a chance in the playoffs last year, Hauser and Pritchard. But when they did, they failed miserably. So I wanted to see them at home in a playoff game step up, and both of them did. So that's a great sign. The final step now is to see them do it on the road. I want to see them do it in a playoff game on the road, and now we're cooking because now we have 8 really good rotation guys, and that's generally all you need to have a great run and win a championship on an NBA team. So
yeah, I mean, great start, right? 2 games in a two.
Yeah,
I mean, if you couldn't have written it better. My dad and I definitely didn't predict it to go as well as this. If you've watched the game predictions for both these games, we were kind of, pretty we were measured, right? I thought they would cover, but I didn't expect them to have a 32-point lead at any point in this game. So I was pretty happy about that. So yeah, I mean, we'll be back tomorrow for the Bruins. I'm gonna be talking to my dad a lot this week, or this month or so, a couple months. Yeah. Now, Dad, real quick, we got one other game in the Eastern Conference, the Indiana Pacers and Milwaukee game. Any thoughts on that before we sign off?
That should be fun. What you forget is there's some bad blood between those teams.
Yeah.
Remember what happened earlier in the year? They were all pissed at each other. So no Giannis. So that's going to be tough for them. But that could get a little feisty. I'm hoping so. And I want those 2 teams to wear each other out because hey, I'm not ashamed of it. I want the easiest path possible. I want the Celtics to sweep. I want every other series to go 7 games. And so everyone's tied when we get them. But watch that Pacers Buck game. That could get really testy because they don't like each other, especially after what happened early in the year with the stupid ball thing. It was ridiculous. But hey, that should be a fun series to watch. And man, 2 for 2, it's great. Now we just sit back, watch other teams, and it's fantastic. And we go at it again tomorrow with the Bruins. I love it.
The best time of the year, TV wise. Best TV time of the year. Boom, boom, boom. Just bookend, back to back to back. And I wish I could bottle this up. This is a great start to the playoffs, and we are so excited we're here. There's no more dog days. We're done. So we're looking forward to the next games. Thanks for anybody who took their time to watch us and gave us your ear. So hope everybody has a good rest of their night. We'll see you tomorrow before the Bruins game. So when they go up 2-0 against the Leafs.
That's it. See you tomorrow for the Bruins and Wednesday for the Celtics again. All right. Thank you for tuning in, everyone, and have a great rest of the weekend.
All right. Bye-bye. End that stream, Dad. Oh.